Hello and welcome to Orbit Communicator. This video is going to be a walkthrough of the Orbit user interface, just to give you an idea of what Orbit is and what it can do. So we're starting off with a completely blank installation today. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to set up an account to get some data in to play with. So we go to Settings and add an account. I have a mail in a box account waiting. It's automatically picked up the server name from the MX records attached to the domain, so it's relatively painless, should I say, to get set up. So we've now got an account there. If we start that account, okay, I got the password right first time. That's now downloading or synchronizing the email. We've got some real-time logging going on at the same time. We can stop that at any time and restart it again, but generally speaking it will run by itself in the background as a system service on your machine, so it should always be following new messages and trying to keep in sync. So if we go back to messages now, this is the result of what it's acquired from the mailbox. So we have the concept of address book contacts and collected contacts in the system. Anything that's not an address book contact is going to show as an orange address, and as a result it's not going to show us inline images and attachments, because it could be from anybody and it could be anything and you may not want to see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is add all these addresses to my address book. So we'll start off, click add up here. This is going to be a quick add a new contact, and that's going to be me. That's now showing, instead of the email address, it's showing my contact name, and that's now removed the resource blocker, so any inline images or attachments are going to show. I'll do that for some of these other addresses. So I already have a contact from me, so I can reuse that. Another one for me, add that again, reuse that. Also me. Okay, and this is a new contact, so again, whoops, go for a quick add a new contact. Okay, so all my orange addresses are now blue. I've got no more resource blockers in there. Now what this has done is to collect up all my emails. They can be viewed per contact rather than per email address. So I have a contact called Gareth with a whole bunch of different email addresses, but if I go to view messages by contact, then it's collected up all those emails into one place. So if you have someone who has a fragmented mail system with a number of addresses, you can still treat them as a single contact. So just looking at our message list here, against each envelope header we have a number of different flags and tags. You can see here we've got a little paperclip icon with a 2 against it, which denotes we've got 2 external attachments on that email. So if I select the message and open the attachment browser, we've got a sound sample and a video sample. The sound sample we can actually preview inline. Nothing particularly interesting. The video doesn't play just yet, but we do have a snapshot of the first frame with a download option, so you can download the entire file. If we have a look back up here, the next one has a larger number of attachments. So what that's doing is when it synchronizes the email initially, it just downloads it into the local database, and the first time you try to access the attachments, it goes through and thumbnails everything attached. So in here there's a bunch of screenshots which are all PNGs and a PDF file which it's thumbnailed. So we can get a larger preview of the same thing by going into view. We can pan through the attachments. We also handle spreadsheets and document files, literally anything that OpenOffice can handle in headless mode should be previewed. It will also handle, to a certain extent, files within compressed files. So if you have a zip attachment or a gzip attachment, it should try to unzip it and preview the contents. So for example, we have a number of DMARC notifications, mail delivery notifications, which come as zip files. That's an EML file. Okay, so another special case are EML files. When you forward an email, you can either forward the message inline, or you can forward it as an attachment, which generates an EML file. So the entire original email is sent as an attachment. So in this case, it's actually doing a preview of the attachment. But what we do for forwards is to treat them slightly differently. So if I select that and go to view, I'll turn that off for a minute. What it's doing is treating the attachment, or the EML attachment, as an actual local email, but tagged with a forward tag. So now that's in our system, it's indexed, and we can treat it as any other email, so we can forward it or delete it or reply to it. So if I just treat it the same way as a normal email and get rid of these oranges, can have a new contact for the Google Mailer daemon. We'll have a new contact for Netflix, and of course as soon as we add it, then the images become available, and we're going to have a new contact for Gen 2. Okay, interestingly, this Gen 2 email is a signed message, so a little green certificate there means there's a PGP signature attached to it, and that gives us the details of the signer, which is signed by the Gen 2 org, and it's recovering the GPG keys from the Gen 2 key server. So you can see this is a view of emails by tag, so you can look at forwards or news or any other tags that have been set up. So, okay, just to go back to the compressed attachments again, I think that's one of the DMARC. There we go. We've got 5 attachments there. Now that looks wrong, but in actual fact, the DMARC emails are all blank, and the information that comes with them comes as attachments. So if I click on one of these, these are all the EML files. I'm going to view, and that's now added all the attachments as local emails in the forward as forward tags. So that's a zip file, a zip attachment. So what it's done is unzip it, and the context is text. So that's giving us a view of the text content. Turn that back off again. So these are from different locations, but I'm going to add these again. I'm going to add them all as DMARC, just so they're all collected into one place. Oh, they're all from the same address anyway. Okay. So if I go back into view by contacts now, you can see we have 5 DMARCs, a bunch for me, and then for each individual contact. Okay. So just to finish off with the email section, if we take a look at search, if we try something like net, the way search is set up, it looks at the lexicon for words based on your search. So if we go for netcraft, for example, it's showing 4 results, or 3 for Netflix, 2 for network. So if we have a look at netcraft, those are the 4 results. So it's found the one email which I've forwarded with the word netcraft in it, and then we have 3 attachments which were also indexed as forwards, which were copies of the Netflix newsletter. So if I open up the browser, this is what the Netflix newsletter looks like as a thumbnail. So if I then try and narrow that down a bit, if I try and type some more and have a look at November, for example, that's giving me 2 results. If I try another N, with Nginx. So this is looking for Netcraft and November and Nginx, and there's just the one result. So this looks relatively quick. I have 300,000 emails and around about 20 gigabytes of data in my live copy. It's kind of the same speed. So hopefully within the scope of a few million emails, it should scale without any noticeable downsides in terms of speed. So if we take a look at the calendar now, this is pretty much what you would expect from a normal desktop calendar. We've got a day view, a week view and a month view, and we can add events and reminders and alarms, again as you'd expect. The difference being the level of integration between the calendar and the email messaging system, which I'll come on to in just for a second. If I start by adding a little bit of data, if we go to next Monday and just a simple new event. Okay, that's my first event. If I try something a bit more advanced, if we try another event, I'm going to have this repeat every day until Friday. And if I invite myself, I have a sequence of events, and looking at the icons, that's an icon for the event. Little circle means it's a repeater, and the little person icon means that there are people invited to it. If I try something else, we can create alarms as well, which will go off at specified times. Okay, now if we have a look at this thing up here, this is our sidebar. This is giving us a schedule of all up and coming alarms. So we have the first new event, these are the repeat events on different days, this is the alarm that I just added. Now if I want to move any of these around, so if this alarm's in the wrong place for example, I can just drag it and drop it to its new position and it will automatically reorder. Or if this particular repeating event isn't the right kind of size, I want some more time for a longer meeting, I can just extend it and just this instance rather than the entire sequence. And that has retimed, which one is that now? It's that one. So instead of being 15 minutes like the others, this one is now 11 AM to 1:45 PM. Now the AM PM versus 24-hour clock is a setting you can change in advanced settings, so it's not fixed on AM PM. And for any of these you can come back and you can edit your details based on the original dialogue. So if I just come back to this week for a second and maybe add an alarm for nowish. Okay, so that's my top level. If or my top event on the schedule. If I move this to a prior time, so it's already expired, a number of things have happened. First of all, I have a little icon up here with a count of the number of expired or overdue items. That's now gone to the top of my list. It's telling me how long ago it expired, and it's given me an option for a drop down which will let me snooze it. So if I snooze it for an hour, that's just rescheduled it for an hour's time. or I can snooze it until next week, and that's moved it down the list somewhat, although not as far down as I would have liked. So if we, where are we? If I come back to now in 3 days, oh there we are, I'll have an alarm. If I do that until the end of next week as well, we now have 2 alarms, one for Wednesday and one for Monday. I can move those around so they're in the same kind of place. And if I want to get really clever, I can come across to the various sections here and I can turn schedule items on or off. I can actually change the colour of all the bars, maybe a little bit bright, maybe not quite so bright. And I can also come back and tag specific items. So if I hit one of these and had my own custom tag, okay, so that's now showing my tag here, and it's showing my tag here. I can set a custom colour on that, and that tag colour will override the default colour for scheduled items. So in terms of customizing and again, you can turn these things off and on at will. It's very customizable in terms of what you can do with it. The way this integrates with email, if I come back to the messages section again, and let's say this particular email was very important and I need to ensure that there's a reply by a certain date, I can add a task. Remind me if this email is not replied to by no, I want next week, so the end of next week. So that's taken my email out of new and moved it into pending, so it's there in pending, and it's generated an event which has now hit my schedule for Sunday the 12th. So if I come back to the calendar and have a look at the month view and close that, Sunday the 12th, and we have our reminder to reply to that email. Now if we don't reply to that email, then that's going to generate an overdue alarm, and if we do reply to that email, then the reminder is automatically removed from the reminders list. The same can be done with outgoing, so if you set a task on a sent email, then it will wait for a reply to that sent email. If it doesn't get one, you'll get an alarm, and if it does get one, it will cancel the reminder. So you've got a degree of workflow built into the calendar and built into the schedule that integrates with the messaging system or the email system. There are plans to add more options to the tasks, but for now, replies is the only one that's functioning. To expand on the workflow element a little bit within the email side of things, we have new messages and the concept of zero inbox. So our idea of zero inbox is when you have something to do, it will be in new, and when you have something that's already been considered, it'll be somewhere else. So while you've got something in new, then there should be something to process straight away. So all these things here either should be taking my attention or I should have done something with them. So we've already moved one into pending, so that's been scheduled for to expect or to reply to at some point. If we take that one, that's just informational, so I'll archive that. So that's gone into my archive folder. I've got that one and that one, and I'll need to do something with those, but I'll do it later, so I'm going to click on later, mark those two. So let's move those two into later, and everything else I can probably get rid of for now, so I'll select the whole lot and archive them. And I have zero inbox. So now I have the option of waiting for more things to appear in new, I have something in pending which I don't need to worry about because it's not due yet. And then I have 2 things in later, so I could process them as and when I'm ready to. So we do have some workflow facility which we can expand on over time. Just to come back to another feature that I've skipped over, if I go back to everything, that's going to show us emails from every folder. So basically this is a raw view of the database, just to give us the maximum number of items to work with. So we're looking at an envelope view, which is showing the from address, the subject, a brief description, etc. If I click on this icon here, this is effectively letting us browse emails by their attachment. So these are a bunch of email files which we can't currently thumbnail, but these are all the thumbnails from within all the messages that we have. So if I click on any one of these attachments, it will bring up the associated email on the right hand side there. Now, for a lot of people that may not be useful, but people that deal with documents and images, a pictorial representation of what they've got, and again this is filtered by folder, so if I go to archive, that will just show me the items or the attachments that are archived. Ditto for pending and later. So next, if I just turn that back off again, if I come back to settings, what I haven't done yet is to configure a signature. So if I add myself a signature, I have a bunch of templates to call it choose from, personal, business, social media. If I go for a social media template, I can preview it through different accounts if I have different accounts, but for now, if I just type in some rubbish in here, okay, so if I save that, you can see as I've been typing, it's been filling out this form down here. If I save that away, that's my that's a preview of my signature. So if I put real data in there, it will fill that out with real data. So once I've done that and I have my signature, I can go back to accounts and I can edit my account. I come across here and assign that signature to my account and save that away. So when I come to compose a new email, assuming the signature is turned on, I will get this appended to whatever I send by default. So if I just send something as a demo, okay, if we attach some where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Send 6 of those. That does a nice parallel upload. That's finished. The thumbnail, it will thumbnail whatever you've uploaded, so you know exactly what you're going to send, hopefully, and send. That's going to give us a few seconds to cancel. Otherwise, it's gone. And if you were really quick, you would have seen outgoing appear here. So when it sends, it generates the message in outgoing and sends it. If it fails to send, you'll be left with an outgoing label there and the message and whatever error is associated with it. In the meantime, that has worked, which means I should have an item been sent. So that's what actually got sent. So I've got the browser turned on. That's the email. Those are the attachments. If I want to check physically what's been sent, under actions I have show source, and that's the source. It's quite a long bit there because they're all encoded attachments. That's actually what got sent out to the mail server. Okay. The other feature, when we send to standard mail servers, by default we request a delivery receipt. So this isn't the read receipts you might be used to seeing that are presented to the user at the far end saying, would you like to tell the other person you've read the email? This is a message that is requested from the actual server when the email hits the server. So this isn't within the control of the far end. This is basically a technical feature that lets you know the email has actually reached where it was supposed to go. So if I click on delivered here, what's happened is when I sent the message, the system has requested this delivery receipt. The delivery receipt has come back into the system and has automatically been attached to the sent message. And this is the receipt that's come back in again, telling me that it's actually been saved. And if it had failed for some reason, that would be a failure message. So if we look in everything, you'll see that is the incoming report. But what happened was it automatically filtered it, and it attached the receipt tag to it and removed the new tag, so it didn't appear in new, and it has appeared in receipts. So for example, if I go into view by tags, you can see we now have 2 receipts in there. I don't know what the other one is. Okay, I've obviously sent 2 messages. On a previous failed demonstration, there was another one. So we have a record of everything we've sent in sent, and for each message, assuming the mail server we send through supports delivery receipts, which standard email servers do, then we'll have a record of whether it was actually delivered or not. Notably, some commercial mail services don't support it, like Gmail for example, but if you're using something like MailerBox, then or any standard postfix server, then you'll get that feature. So I haven't covered rules or assets. Assets is a biggish section. I'm going to come back and do a second video for that, but that should be enough to give you a flavour of what Orbit is all about.